Well, hello, welcome. If this is your first time joining a live with me on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, welcome. I'm so glad to see you. My name is Lexi J. I also go by the corporate nurse. I am a registered nurse by training. I was a critical care nurse for a very long time and then decided that enough was enough. I wanted to get out of direct patient care. And so I made this haphazard plan of going into positions in corporate nursing, which you use your clinical skills with companies that provide products and services to healthcare professionals, healthcare entities, and patients, and bring that knowledge to them. And I've worked in corporate nursing for 7.5 years. It is amazing. I love talking about it. But tonight, we are going to talk about some career planning and developmental goals for 2023. This weekend, New Year's Eve is upon us. And so everyone's probably jotting down like things that you want to tackle in 2023. And so we're just going to go through a few things that I like to do to jar your memory and to get you on track to achieve goals in 2023. So if you know me, if you follow me on other social media platforms, specifically Instagram, I can run my mouth a lot. Like I love to talk. I have a big mouth. I love to use it. And so I have to have notes to keep me grounded because otherwise I will talk about all types of things. And I know you don't want to be here all night with me. So the first thing when you think about just goal planning, all of that comes with it, the goals for 2022, what did you accomplish? What was there? Were these goals, did you have three top goals that you wanted to achieve? Did you have just one? There's no wrong answer here, but look at the goals for 2022 and think about, did I achieve these? If you did achieve your goals, great. That's wonderful. If you didn't, really dig deep and figure out like, why didn't you achieve those goals? What went on? Did life? Did you have, illness in the family, with yourself, job situation change, familial obligations, anything like that? If that stopped you from obtaining your goal, don't feel bad about it at all. Don't. Um, Look to see, are these goals that still connect with you? And do you want to put these goals on 2023 to take them over into the new year and see how you can tackle them there? But really ask yourself heavily, like, why didn't I achieve this? If there was nothing like outside of life that occurred to where you could still achieve it, but maybe you procrastinated or you just weren't in the mood or you slacked off. I slack off all the time, so don't feel bad. If that occurred, have a deep conversation with yourself about what you need to change in 2023 so you can achieve your goals. Look at my notes here. I'm not looking down to take away from anything. All right, so let's talk about the goals that you accomplished. What steps did you take to achieve those goals? What worked well? Don't reinvent the wheel. There's no reason to. Could you make it better? Is there something else in your process you felt like, hey, if I got rid of this, I really probably could have achieved two more goals? If things like that you're noticing, absolutely do that. But if you have a winning strategy currently where you have your plan of attack, you know what you're going to do, and you've been doing it, keep at it. Like you got it. You figured out the sauce. Good job. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't make this harder than what it is. Goal setting does not have to be this like pomp and circumstance and all of the glitz and glory. And you want to figure out, you want to read 1,000 books in 2023, or you want to go from, I'm a nurse, so I'm going to connect it to nursing. You want to go from maybe ICU to being a first assist in the OR? Like, is that something that you really could do in a year's time? Like, does it take a little bit more? Like, really think about your goals, if they connect with you, what they're doing, and are they progressing you forward in the sense of where you want your career to go? I'm very big on career design. Like, what do you want your career to look like the next 12 to 24 months? And with doing so, you really can focus on just smaller chunks of goals versus like the big abstract goals. Like for myself, I want to make X amount of money as a corporate nurse. And that takes time. Like I can't expect to go from, you know, high six figures to 500,000. Like that would take a lot of time. So I have to break it down into smaller chunks. And I see we have some comments, so I'm gonna look and see at the same time. Oh, hey, Erin. Um, okay, so, and I say so a lot. God, excuse me. Let's talk about stretch goals because I think this is very important. Being that we're nurses. Like we do a lot. We save lives. You go, you see people at their worst. You do a lot of different things. And so it's very easy to think like, oh, my goals aren't like big enough. I'm not stretching myself. If you found that the goals you wanted to accomplish in 2022, you were knocking them out of the park like bam, 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 then put some stretch goals on for 2023, something that's really going to make you dig deep. It's going to be like tense at first because it's new and you're going to be like, what am I doing? But stretch yourself for sure in some goals. I'll tell you one of mine. I work with Excel a ton in corporate nursing in the type of positions that I'm in. And I can do very basic things in Excel. Like I'm not a wizard. I can't do pivot charts, Gantt charts, but I need to learn how to do it. And I'm going to put one of my goals for 2023 is to really tackle advanced Excel. And I, even just saying this right now to you all, it's like, do I really want to do this? Do I have to do this? I know I need to do it. Like it's time. So that's going to be a stretch goal for me because if you know me offline, you know, I am not computer savvy. Like I am not that girl. And so figuring out how to really connect with Excel outside of like basic, very basic spreadsheets is going to be a lot for me. But that's where my stretch goal is going to be for 2023, one of them. All right. So let's talk about carrying some goals that you didn't accomplish from 2022 over into 2023. Connect and really think like, does this goal even still make sense for your life? Is it, applicable to what you want to do? Or can you really see yourself moving down that path? Is it tied to another goal that's going to get you to the golden ticket per se? If it's not, don't feel bad to cut it out. There's nothing wrong with this. This is your life. It's your career. Don't feel bad to change. You can wake up one day and feel like, oh, I want to do X. And then the next day, oh, I want to do Z. It's your career. And don't feel like you need anyone's approval. So if the goal no longer meets your needs, toss it out of the way. Don't feel bad about that at all. Excel is one of your goals too. Oh my gosh. I probably need to get on Udemy and get some stuff into. I like YouTube University, but I looked at some courses and they're not super expensive here locally in Atlanta that I could go in and like do 7 or 8 sessions, like $250. That's not bad. So I may do that. But yeah, Excel is definitely like it's the bane of my existence, especially being a PhD student and learning statistics. I'm like, oh, Excel makes a lot of sense, but I just don't love it. So if you're going to carry over some goals into 2023, that's fine. Just make sure they connect with what you see yourself doing or what you want to see yourself doing in the next 12 to 24 months. Nothing wrong with that. And in with that, carrying goals over into 2023, I want to talk about my next note of, do you need some guidance? Like, do you have all these goals in your head, but you're like, I don't really know if that connects. Is that going to get me to the next part? Like, what am I doing? Am I doing it right? You can have all these questions. Nothing wrong with that at all. But let's get a little bit more granular and think about, okay, so some of the goals that you may have, are they tied to career planning? Are they tied to learning some technical skills? Excel is a technical skill. Are they tied to some soft skills? Are they tied to personal effectiveness? Let's break it down to see where you can go to really hone in on what you need to do for 2023. You tried learning pivot charts and almost passed out. I work with a guy who can like do them in his sleep. He loves them. And I'm like, what birthed you? Like, how do you love this? So I never get to do them because he's like, give them to me. I'll do it. But yes, pivot charts definitely, they stress me out. It's been a nightmare to work with during your MBA. Yes, you're going to get it. And good job on obtaining your MBA. It's amazing. I love it. Okay. So being that I am a career coach for nurses, I'm going to talk about if new job is on your horizon for 2023, let's like dig into this because it's very important. Like you spend 60% of your time at a job. You want to make sure that you love it. Bedside nursing, we all know is, leaves less than is desired currently. I left bedside nursing right after the Ebola pandemic. Well, not pandemic, but Ebola outbreak. I did work at the facility that the patients were coming to, and it was very eye-opening for me. But even before that, just working, I've always been a critical care nurse. I always took care of very sick patients, worked with very, stressful situations, stressful doctors, and it was a lot. I commend each and every one of you who has maintained your sanity to some shred of existence working this pandemic. I don't think I could have done it. I probably would have been like, and this is it. You can have this nursing degree back. I'm done. I felt that point already in 2015. Really, I'd say like 2013, I started to really start to feel sick about. I was getting sick at work at night. I just wasn't. It wasn't loving nursing anymore, and so I started to know it's time for me to get out. But I still wanted to use my clinical skills, hence how I got into corporate nursing. So career planning strategy, new jobs is very important to me because I know as nurses, like you deserve to have a job where you go in every day, you feel good about what you're doing, you are happy, you are paid what you should be paid. You should not be of this, I'm just grateful to have a job, or no, you should be happy, healthy, and thrive. And 80% of your job you should love, 20% is, So I'm big on if a new job is what you want to do, great. Let's tackle how to get a new job. So with this, we're going to talk about some career planning. The first thing is, do you know where you want to work? And this is okay. If you want to stay at the bedside, I support that. I support nurses in all that they do. If you know bedside is where you want to be, rock it out. I thank you. Like, we need bedside nurses. There are some nurses who feel like, look, I saw, I came, I conquered. I no longer want to do this. That was really me. And there are spaces for you in all types of different areas: corporate, nursing, tech, entrepreneurship. Like, there's other avenues for nurses for sure. And I want you to know there is nothing wrong with feeling like bedside just isn't for me anymore. Like, don't ever let someone make you feel bad about that. Hands down, that's complete BS. You are still a nurse no matter if you clock in at the hospital every day, if you sit at home and work remotely for a corporate company, if you work in tech, if you run your own nursing business, you are still a nurse. At the end of the day, you pass those boards, you still have an active license. Can no one take that away from you? I don't like the diminishing of, well, but you're not a nurse anymore because you don't take care of patients. How? You still bring that knowledge to places. Your work transcends across industry. So never let anyone discount you if you are feeling like, I want to move into something else outside of the hospital setting. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for joining. I want all nurses to know that you have options. There are plenty out here for us. You just have to be willing to do it scared, take the leap. Hi, Carlita. Carlita is one of my clients. You have to say, after getting to corporate nursing, your stress levels are so much lower, you're sleeping better, and you're so much happier. You're so welcome, my dear. I am so happy that you are in your position and you're loving it. And that's one of the big things that I see in my clients, or in corporate nurses that I work with that aren't clients of mine. Your stress level is reduced at least 50% in these positions. You just don't have that. No one's gonna die because you don't return an email. When your day ends, your day ends. You're not taking a lot of that work home with you. And being a critical, as a surgical ICU nurse, plenty of times I knew I had a sick liver transplant coming to me, and I'm taking care of this patient. And when I go home that morning, I'm just hoping this patient survives till I get back that next shift. And, all the things that go through your mind, or did I give all of my meds? Did I do this? Did I chart? Am I going to get a nasty email from management? Like, all of those things that occur in the stress that comes with bedside, 50% reduction in corporate immediately. It's a very different world setting. It's not, are there deadlines? Sure. Are there times that it can be stressful when you are, depending on what area you work in, be it research and development, which is clinical research, phase 1 through 3 clinical trials, or if you work on the commercial side with products, drugs and devices that have FDA approval, if you're gearing up for a really big launch, it can be stressful, but it's not the same type of stress. No one is going to die because you didn't return an email. So I love that Carlita is showing that her stress levels are better. She's eating better, probably. You get to connect with your families. Like, corporate does afford you a lot of luxury that traditional bedside nursing just doesn't. And that's not a knock at bedside at all. It's just a fact of the matter. All right. So do you know where you want to work? Say you're in a hospital and you want to go from ER to labor and delivery. How can you do that? Do you need to connect with some labor and delivery nurses to possibly shadow them? Do you want to, do some outdoor reading on your own to learn about, what are the standards of care for laboring mothers? Or if you were doing postpartum, that's the one specialty area I don't know. So I'm just throwing that out there. I came into nursing directly into the ICU. So I was a trauma ICU nurse and I was a surgical ICU nurse. And then I was an interventional radiology nurse. I did all of the procedural. I was the quintessential ICU nurse. I'm going to go be a CRNA. That did not happen. And so I had to figure out, okay, I want to make great money, but I no longer want to take care of patients. How can I do that? Corporate nursing. So if you say you want to go to CRNA school, great. Okay, what steps do you need to take to start to get on that path? In the sense of, okay, you want to leave bedside and come into corporate nursing. What do you need to do? Okay, where would you like to work? That's one of the first things you want to look at. There's all these companies out here. The easiest thing to do, hands down, think about your current area. What drugs, what devices do you utilize on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis? Who makes them? Start at those companies' websites and just learn about them. Learn, see what kind of positions that they have. That's the first thing. Most of these positions won't have nurse in the title. If you're looking for nurse in the title, you're going to miss a lot of great positions that you can do because you're so focused in on nursing. Just look to see what's open in your state and see if any of the positions speak to you. And you start from there. So that's the first thing. Where do you want to work? If it's in the hospital setting, great. Who can you connect with to start to lay your plan to jump over into this area? Since I was in the ICU, I wanted to learn about interventional radiology. I started to go down and see the IR nurses and just talk to them. Start to build some camaraderie, see what they're doing. Hey, can I shadow you for a day? Come in on my off day, shadow them, see if this was an area I really was going to like. And then make a connection with the manager. I'm thinking about transferring down here. If you guys ever have some opportunities, I'd love to, maybe throw my hat in the ring. Start to build some relationships with people. That's a big thing. Relationship building is very big. We're going to talk about that a little bit later too. When you think also about where you want to work, I want you to think about your leadership style. Like, what type of leadership do you thrive under? What don't you thrive under? I don't like micromanagement. I didn't like micromanagement at the bedside. I really don't like it in corporate. Like, I'm not going to tolerate it. So for me, that is a big red X, hard stop. I don't deal with micromanagement. I will remove myself from any type of company leadership style that has that. So think and pull out some paper and jot notes down. If like you are okay with micromanagement, great. But know what your hard stop knows, and know what you're okay with, and know what you really want. I thrive under autonomous leadership. As an ICU nurse, I like to just do my thing. I go to my management when need be, but for the most part, leave me alone to do my job. I'll come to you if I need you. I don't need a lot of hand holding. And so that kind of leadership helps me. I'm not the one that's going to always be checking in with my manager. It's not good for me. So that's my threshold. But what are yours? All right, let's talk about your resume. Is your resume updated? The best time to look for a new job is when you have a job. Do not wait, number one, until you are so burnt out or upset with your current position that I'm just going to start looking at anything and throwing my resume out there. No. You want to have a strategy for that. So always keep your resume updated. That's just number one. You just never know. We are in very different times in the world where anything can happen. Yes, nurses have always consistently had jobs. I did work at a facility where they laid nurses off. They started at the top with the highest paid nurses and just worked their way down. It was a large academic medical center. And I was like, wait a minute, nurses don't get laid off. Yeah, they do. I wrote a blog post earlier this year about hospitals or businesses, and they're going to always choose their business entity first. So you got to protect yourself. So keep your resume updated. If you are wanting to come over into corporate nursing, you really have to begin to tailor your resume for these positions, because currently bedside resumes are set with a bunch of technical skills and task-oriented items. Corporate companies are looking for your outcomes and your results, and you have to tailor your resume for that. I teach that all in my course. However, you want to just ensure that your resume is updated. You can't want a new job and your resume hasn't been updated since your last two positions. No. So put that on your list to update your resume in 2023. All right, let's talk about some interviewing skills, because this is a big thing. Interviewing, for me, I love to interview. I do it for fun. I have to stop doing it for fun now because I'm getting too many job offers, and I can't. It's hard to tell people thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to stop doing that. But if interviews are not your strong suit, sit down and tackle what makes you nervous about interviews. If you have nervousness, or do you feel like you don't know how to show up for an interview? what to wear, what's business casual. Do you not know how to follow up? Like, tackle what in interviews gives you the heebie jeebies so you can start to look to see, do you need to bring someone in to help you with mock interviews? Or can you just practice on your own in your mirror, or getting on your computer and recording yourself, getting on Instagram and privately recording yourself to see, am I presenting my best self first in interviews? Okay. Um, the real big thing about all of this is break each step down. Like, don't feel overwhelmed. Like, if you know you need to start revamping your resume, take it one day at a time. Like, looking at templates and plug and play, and thinking about different things to put into it. Don't feel like you need to revamp your resume, apply to 60 jobs, and start doing mock interviews in the span of a week. No, break it down into chunks. If it's going to be, I'm just going to work on my resume for 2 weeks, that's great. That's a win. Like, don't feel like you have to do all of this in a week's time to be successful. No, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Um, let's see. Don't be afraid to seek out help. I think this is a big thing that I'm going to talk about in 2023 in general, just as nurses, because we are so accustomed to going and getting certifications to give us an extra 25 cents on the dollar at work, or sometimes not even 25 cents on the dollar, maybe just a hey, great job. You know, you get to put this certification on your badge. But don't be afraid to enlist help that's going to get you to your goals, be it professional development, be it a mentor, a coach, whoever. Start to really look at yourself as a business and how you can invest in your business as yourself to progress your career forward. Most of us spent thousands of dollars to obtain our nursing degrees. And while it's a great career and we usually always have, job security, we have to start to do other things to start to climb the ladder to make more money, be it go back to school for NP or CRNA, go for a management degree so you can get into leadership or administration. And we'll do all of that. But when it comes to professional development, just for our own selves to get into new industries or go or expand our skill set in non-traditional ways outside of the clinical skill set of bedside, we clam up. Got to stop doing that. And I say that as someone who was very hesitant to invest in professional development when I started my corporate career. Now I will throw all the money at it because it pays off. You will never waste you are your best investment. And so just think of it like your return on your investment for going to nursing school was this career. Your return on going and enlisting someone that's going to help you in mock interviews could be another $10,000, $20,000. I have clients who get anywhere from 8 to 35% salary increases coming into corporate. So look at the return on investment and things when you look to see, like, oh, I want to do some professional development for myself. Don't be afraid of it. All right. If you're desiring a change into a new area that has some technical skills that you need to hone in on, or brush up on. So I was a critical care nurse. We worked with Swan scans all the time. So that when I first began, in that area, I hadn't ever worked with a Swan. So how could I really get my skills up to par with it? Not being afraid to go and take classes that my hospital was offering about critical care or different type of devices we were using. Raising my hand to be a super user so I could learn it, like force myself to learn this new device so I could become an expert in it and be the resource for people, but also so I could put that on my resume and build my skill set there so companies would see, oh, well, she's done X, Y, and Z. So if it's some technical skills that you need to beef up on, don't be afraid to go. We were talking about Excel earlier. There are nurses who work in data management, data analyst, or work within research and development, looking at all of the raw data that comes in from a clinical trial. To do that, you have to have some technical skills in that area. So people go and learn that portion of it, not going and getting another degree per se, but just learning some stuff online or reading to where they can strengthen those skills to present that in interviews to get positions in that area. So if it's technical skills you want to obtain, start to look at it. Start at YouTube University. There's tons of free information out here on certain technical aspects that you could do. Don't be afraid to. But if you want targeted help, that you want to obtain a new job in corporate nursing, and there's not a lot of information online about corporate nursing because I coined the term, and then when you go on Google and look, you may find stuff that I've written, you may find other stuff, but I ask all of my clients, like, did you try to do this on your own before coming to me? And they're like, yeah, I couldn't find anything. You're not going to, because for the most part, they call these industry jobs, but it's so much more than that. There is the nursing component along with the corporate America component, hence corporate nursing. So I bring that kind of influence and expertise with clients to show them how to make this process a lot easier. I also have made every mistake you could possibly make jumping into corporate nursing, that transition from bedside to corporate. And so I make sure my clients don't make the same mistakes I did. That's my job as a career coach for nurses, is to reduce your time so you don't spin your wheels and you're able to get into these positions quicker than me and make great money. So if you feel like, okay, I know I want to do something that a lot of people aren't doing, I'm going to need some help, don't be afraid to connect with people who can help you. But also be willing, open minded, open heart to do the work, because it's something new. It could shy you away. You could feel like like we first all became nurses. No one was like super great nurse on day one. It was a process, right? That first year was just a learning process. It's the same thing when you want to come into a new area that you're not used to. You're going to feel timid. You're going to be intimidated, but don't let that shy you away. Work with someone who you like and love and can get you to the next step that you want to do. All right. Let's talk about soft skills, because yeah, I think anyone can utilize soft skills, beef up on soft skills, brush up on soft skills in 2023. Etiquette is something I'm super big on. Um, it's amazing to me how we are all professionals. We've all been to college, and we'll email someone or connect with someone online, social media, and not have a salutation in your initial entry point. You just start off going into your spiel. It's rude. Okay. So professional etiquette is something that everyone should have. Manners are free. So soft skills are some things that people think are super easy. Everyone should have them, but even myself, I could use some brushing up on some soft skills. So let's talk about what are some soft skills that need polishing. First one, self-awareness. This is a big one, self-awareness. It is very difficult in the beginning to sit down and write out your pros and cons about you as a person, as a professional, as a friend, daughter, everything, son, it can be hard. Becoming self-aware about things will take you very far. So become more self-aware. Are you someone who, if you don't know the answer to something, are you going to get on the computer and try to research it out and figure it out for yourself first until you've like exhausted all means? Then you maybe reach out and ask someone for help. Or do you just go to the person directly and say, well, tell me what X, Y, and Z is? Like, be self-aware to know, is that what you do? Do you not do it? Communication. How do you communicate? You can be the best clinician in the world. I am sure many of you on here work with fabulous doctors who have great clinical skill set, but the communication sucks. They just suck at it. And it like leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right? I will fire a doctor from taking care of me or a loved one that has poor bedside manner. Communication is super big. So how do you communicate with your team at work, with your family, with your friends? Like, do you openly communicate? Do you shut down? This is a part of being self-aware and figuring out like, what am I really doing? What am I projecting out? How do I present myself to people? Open communication, great communication will take you super far in life in general, not even just professionally, but personally. How do you build friendships? How do you connect with people? Are you someone who's very transactional in your approach to friendships or relationships in general? Or do you just want to build genuine connections? If you're a transactional person, meaning, do you go and do something because it's the right thing to do? Or do you do something for someone because at the end of the day, you want to have a favor in the chamber to ask that person later on down the line? Like, why? If you are like that, why? Just sit down with yourself and ask. Transactional relationships they're dicey, can be a very slippery slope. And is it successful for you, really? Like, does that get you places by being that kind of relationship-based person? Are you a team player? This is big because I know at the bedside, I have worked with plenty of nurses who, hey, can you help me do something, Lex? Hey, can you help me do that? Hey, can you give my 10 o'clocks? And you want to help out your colleagues for sure. there becomes a time where you helping out so much that it's like, are you giving me half that check on Friday when you get it? Because I didn't took care of your patients the last few nights with you. But are you a team player? Like, do you jump in? If someone's patient codes, are you going to go in and help or watch their patients while they're taking care of that? Like, think about all of that. Because if you want to make the transition in from bedside into corporate and you're working in a virtual setting, being a team player looks different. But if you're not a team player, you're just not a team player, and it's going to come out regardless. So think about, like, if you are not a team player, why is that? Um, and really figure out why. I'm not someone who feel like you have to love everyone that you work with. You need to respect them, at least get along, be cordial with them during 12 hours, 13 hours you're there at work. But when the going gets tough, that's a life on the line. Like, so are you a team player? Critical thinking is a soft skill that we nurses have. Like, we critically think all the time, and it's very hard sometimes when you want to just be home and just relax, and you don't want to think. So I get it. Like, that unwiring and turning off our brains can be very hard, but that inquisitive nature that I was talking about earlier, like, are you someone who tries to figure stuff out on your own, researching it on your own, or um, I'll give you an example. I have tons of videos on my Instagram about what corporate nursing is, what it entails. I have a big highlight that says start here. I will have plenty of people who will come to me and ask in my DMs, what is corporate nursing? And that tells me that they didn't look at my page and see like any information that's right there available to them. They just rather come straight to me and ask, which is okay. But it does say something. If you are inquisitive, if you go down the rabbit hole, you do all of that, it's going to take you far because you critically thinking like you are looking for ways to figure this out on your own. And then when you exhaust all the means, you're like, okay, now I need to enlist some help. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do notice, even working from bedside and now in corporate, there are some people who will completely try to figure it out, and then some that just want to give me the easy answer. Don't be like the latter. All right, let's talk about personal effectiveness. So it is very important for each and every one of you to own your career. Do not let your career just happen. Like, own it. You want to make X number of dollars by 2024. All right, what's the plan to get there? You want to move into X specialty, into this specialty. Okay, the plan to do so. Just being very lackadaisical about your career and just letting things happen to you, I don't think it's a great thing to do, just because you're at the mercy of whatever. Own it. Know what you want, put the steps in place to get there, and be okay with like the transitions, the journey. Like, every journey has peaks and valleys that we go through. But I think that there's a lot of, well, I'm just going to see what happens, when you really can own your career, make some amazing money, have some great positions if you just put a little bit of strategy and hard work into it. That's it. It's not rocket science, I promise you. I do not have an IQ of 180, and have been able to do a lot of great things in corporate, quadruple my salary, being places that I've never thought, travel the world on a company's dime, because my nursing skill set afforded me that opportunity, and it can afford you the same. Knowing your role at work. So I am big on being confident in your skill set, not arrogant in your skill set, meaning when you can take care of anything that comes into your respective areas, when people are asking you to be a resource to them, what do I do? Can you help me with this? You've got the juice, like, you've got it. And that is where you can start to figure out, what do I want to do next? Like, where can I take my career from here? What do I love to do in nursing, and what do I hate to do in nursing? Write that stuff down so you can start to think, okay, well, this position has a lot of the loves without most of my hates. Really start to write this down, because it's going to help you when you start to make your career moves as you go forward in 2023. But you also have to be self-aware. Like, seriously, you have to be self-aware. So I'll tell you, I was the quintessential type A ICU nurse that I don't want a patient that's talking. If you are talking, you do not need to be in this bed. There's a sicker patient that needs it. Get the patient out of here. Like, I only wanted vented, sedated patients. I worked nights because I didn't want to deal with management. My surgeons were always in the OR, so I functioned very autonomously because they trusted me. I knew what I could do. And I say all that to say that you have to be self-aware of where you do very well in. Where I sucked at the bedside was connecting with my coworkers outside of very surface level stuff. Like, I was not the one that was being asked to do special assignments or do this or that because I just wasn't very, I won't say friendly because I was friendly, but I was so focused in tunnel vision when I got to work that I'm just here to work, to collect my check and go home. Like, I'll say hi, we can chum it up at lunch, but otherwise, we don't have nothing to talk about. I'm just here to get this money. Very bad for me. Like, I had to learn the hard way. That's not how you do things. Like, you have to have some type of connection with your colleagues if you want to win. I was being passed over for charge nurse, for management roles because that soft skill connection was missing. Bad move. When I got into corporate, similar thing happened in my first position. Bad move. I had to do a complete 180 in my second corporate nursing position. I was promoted within a year. I was asked to do all kind of special projects. I mean, it was amazing. So I say all that to say, be self-aware and don't allow the cons to hold you back because they can, speaking from experience. All right. Problem solving. This is a skill that will take you so far. Let me tell you, complainers do not go to the boardroom. No, you're not going to the boardroom if you are complaining 24/7. Problem solvers, solutions oriented people go to the boardroom. That's what these companies want. They want employees who can look at something, figure it out, offer a solution, let's try it and go. You will go so far in your career if you are solutions oriented. You want to fix problems in anything, like even in your personal life, it bodes you well. So don't be afraid to problem solve. Think about the things that are going on in your respective areas that you're like, oh, why do we do it this way when we could do it this way? Start to bring those things up to your leadership and watch the doors open for you. Determination. Every single one of you who went to nursing school passed all of those hard, crazy tests of this orange is orange, but is this orange oranger? All of those tests, you passed boards, you are determined. Like, you have it in you. When you think of going into a new area, wanting a new job, take that same determination and fire with you. Don't think, just think about the end goal of, you wanted that nursing degree. You wanted to pass boards on the first time. Just take that same fire into these goals. Take it in there and watch how different your life becomes. All right. So let's talk about your plan of action and how to utilize what you want to do in 2023 using your SMART goals. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed. So the first thing, specific. Specific goal is you want a new job by summer 2023. Not a bad goal to have. The research shows that for across every industry outside of, I know as bedside nurses, you are used to applying for a position and probably having it within a month's time. I'm telling you now, if you want to come into non-traditional settings, it's going to be a different ball game. Most industries have a 6 to 12 month lag time with obtaining a new position. Now, I have clients who get positions within 1, 2, 3 months for sure. It's just going to depend on the company, how aggressive they are, what do they have going on. But don't feel bad if it takes 4 months. It took me 5.5 months to get my first corporate nursing position. It took me 2.5 months of interviewing for that job to get that yes. And if I had to do it again today, I would do it because it took the stress away, gave me way more money and a better work-life balance. So don't let that shy away from you. I am here to tell you there is a pot of gold on the other side of the rainbow. Okay, so if your goal is to have this new job by summer 2023, what steps do you need to take to get the new job? Number one, you need to update your resume. So, resume updates complete by January 30th, 2023. Like, that's how you're going to be specific to your goal. Okay. Measurable. What's the data you need to monitor this progress? So if you want a new job, of course, it's going to be, are you getting traction on your resume? Are you getting interview requests? Are people looking at your LinkedIn profile? Are you seeing that your views are going up? That's all telling you that you're on the right path. Of course, getting a new job, you have to get interviews. And so if you're finding that you're getting a ton of rejections on your resume, you maybe need to enlist the help of someone. If you find that resumes just aren't your thing, by all means, don't be afraid to work with an expert who can get you to that place. There's plenty of people out here who you can pay to do your resume. I'm not someone who thinks nurses should pay to have their resumes done, but I get it. If it's not your zone of genius, you shy away from it, then work with someone who can help you. Is it achievable? Getting a new job is definitely an achievable goal. Uh, when I work with clients, I always ask them, is the salary important or is the new skills important? So ask yourself that, like, are you chasing money? Nothing wrong with that. I support nurses who chase money. I chased money for a very long time in corporate. So if that's the goal, if you are currently, say, making $95,000 a year at your bedside job, and you now want to go into a corporate nursing position making $175,000, is that really achievable? It could be. I'm not going to say it's not. It could be hard. You may have to go into a hardcore sales role, but is it really achievable? Where if you would to say, I want, 115,000, well, that's very achievable for sure. So think about that. Like, is this achievable goal? And again, don't feel like, oh my God, I've been applying for jobs and I haven't gotten any traction in 3 weeks. It's like that. It's not like bedside, but bedside wants a warm body. They just want someone to put in here so they can, can you just take care of these patients? Whereas in corporate companies, they really are going to vet you out because they're getting ready to pay you a big salary. You're going to be working from home. You're going to have a lot of autonomy and a lot of responsibility, usually managing a territory. And so they have to vet you out. So don't feel slighted if you've applied and you haven't heard anything back in 3 weeks' time. Is it relevant? So is the goal of obtaining a new job relevant? Like, what? Dig deep on, why do you want this new job? Are you just tired of your area? Do you need to take a vacation? Do you want to make more money? I support any reason why. Like, if you want a new job, you want a new job. Nothing wrong with that. I don't like nurses to be desperate about getting a new job because you can miss some red flags and go into a situation that's not good for you. So really figure out, like, is it the job itself? Is it the area? Is it the colleagues? Is it the management? Like, look and see what's really driving the decision on why you want this new job. Is this tied to a bigger goal? Okay, so you want to leave bedside, come into corporate because your goal is you want to make $150,000 salary working in a remote company. Definitely doable, definitely relevant. I get it. And the time frame of accomplishing this goal. So if the goal is just the one of obtaining a new job, you want to have a new job by the end of 2023 or by summer 2023, whatever it is, be flexible in it. Like, be diligent, work at it, but also know that it could change. You could find out that you were thinking you wanted to go into this particular position in corporate, but now you want to do something else. And so don't be afraid that it may throw your timeline off 3-4 months. It's okay. Be flexible in the management of it. Because remember, I said every company is different. Some companies are very aggressive and you can get in and get your position done within 6 weeks. It's just going to depend. But some take 2.5, 3 months sometimes. Is it worth it? I believe so. Absolutely, it's worth it. But I don't want you to get frustrated and throw in the towel because it's not occurring on the time frame that you wanted. And so that's how we do some smart, actionable goals. One thing I do want to say, don't feel like you have to have 10 goals you want to accomplish in 2023. Like, if 3 is overwhelming, choose 1 or 2. Let 1 be a relatively easy goal per se, and then have a stretch goal. Work at that for 12 months and see where you land. Don't feel like you have to have 5. No, like, it doesn't have to be all the pomp and circumstance. You don't have to feel like, that you're curing cancer with putting down your goals. No, absolutely look at what you want to do in the next 12 months and break it up into a small thing. If that's learning a new device in your area, great. Becoming a super user in your area, great. Sitting for a certification, great. If it's coming into corporate nursing, great. What's your first step to doing that? Like, break it down into little chunks so it doesn't overwhelm you, because it can be very overwhelming when you sit down and think, like, what do I want my 2023 to look like? It can. So take a deep breath and just really think, like, what's super important to me for the next 12 months, and think of just that. That's it. And then write it down. But don't feel like you have to have 3 goals to achieve. No, I'm only going to do 2 this year, a big one and a mini small one. I'm going to have a super big stretch goal just because I just want to throw in a little razzle dazzle. But you don't have to. You could just, if you want to do 2 small ones, who cares? This is all about you. Never let anyone make you feel bad because you're choosing something that you want to do for your life. But I think that we need to remember, having goals is super important. It's how we get to the next level. And don't be afraid to enlist the help of others if you know there are areas that you will need help in to get to the goal. Gone are the days when you should feel bad about asking for help. Like, I need help as a professional. I mean, I'm not a super expert in all areas of things. I need help and I will ask for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I know as nurses, we are so used to taking care of others that we put ourselves last. So, my ask of you for 2023 is to put yourself first. Make your goals, go out and attack them like a beast and win. If you're interested in learning more about corporate nursing, you can message me. I have tons of videos on my Instagram at the Corporate Nurse you can learn from. If you're interested in enrolling in my coaching program, I can give you more information on that. And let's go do amazing things in 2023. I think nurses are amazing. I think that we can do so many jobs outside of bedside that would change the world for the better. And I want to see more nurses in corporate nursing. So we're at 45 minutes. That's enough time for us. I hope this helped you in some capacity. If you have additional questions, please reach out and have a wonderful rest of your evening.